Good afternoon, YouTube. Welcome to another video, and we are doing another character analysis video, and it's on a character in Thomas and Friends that pretty much nobody likes. That being Billy. So here's a bit of background on Billy's character. Billy, or as his real name is, William, made his first and only appearance in the season 11 episode, Don't Be Silly Billy, in 2007, and that was basically his only appearance in the show, in which the plot for that episode is where a new engine, that being Billy, arrives on the island of Sodor, and Thomas has to work with Billy for the day. But however, Billy doesn't want to do his jobs, and he keeps on calling Thomas a bossy engine and keeps running off. But eventually, after Billy refused to do his work four times, Billy ends up running out of coal, and then Billy goes back and does his jobs, and that's basically it. Yep. Nothing much to Billy's character. Although for his personality, it reads, Billy is a bright orange tank engine who can be stubborn, impatient, selfish. Although he is bubbling with enthusiasm and can get stuck in, he tends to act before he thinks through, and can even end up keen to start one job before properly finishing another. And I'll just let you guys read the rest of the description. So for how Billy became the most hated character in pretty much all of Thomas and Friends, in his first and only appearance, Billy acts very bratty and selfish towards Thomas, all because Billy did not want to do his jobs. Like, that's honestly just really petty. Not to mention that his episode is pretty boring, as pretty much basically Billy's first and only appearance is just dedicated to Billy throwing a temper tantrum for seven whole minutes. That's basically how I'd sum up Don't Be Silly Billy. Billy throws a temper tantrum for 7 minutes. Although this might make you make a lot of you Thomas fans mad, and this is a hot take that might get me canceled, but I actually don't mind it. I actually don't hate Billy at all. Oh boy, I can already imagine all of the Thomas fans, all of the Billy haters in the comments telling me to delete this video. But there are some people out there who like Billy, such as Team Zug, for example, who's one of my friends, as well as Gregory, as well as another YouTuber named Gregory, the Heavy Goods Engine. And honestly, I think Billy's character had a lot of potential, and I think Billy could have been a very good character had he and his episode been written better, and had the writers actually decide to use all of their brain cells and actually gave Billy more time in the spotlight. It sucks that all the hit era that almost every character introduced in the hit era were all completely sidelined and forgotten about after their debut episode, and basically just existed to advertise their toys. Man, I just hate hit entertainment for how they treated the Thomas brand. So for how I would have handled Billy, here's how I would have handled Billy in Don't Be Silly Billy. rather than having Billy act for an idea to rework Billy's character. Rather than having Billy act like a spoiled brat, instead I'm thinking of having Billy still act selfish, impatient, and bratty at times, but 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 I would make Billy a rather clumsy, dim-witted, overconfident, but kind-hearted engine who just wants to do the right thing, but doesn't know how to do it properly. Rather than having Billy act like a spoiled brat, and I would also get rid of the three strikes formula entirely, and have the plot of Billy's debut episode be different. And also, for another big drastic change for my rewritten version of Don't Be Silly Billy, rather than having Thomas in the episode, I would replace Thomas with Molly, mainly to flesh out not just Billy, but also Molly, and to give Molly more time in the spotlight, as well as give her some more character development, as well as show a new side to Molly, showing Molly's more stern and serious side, which is a side we unfortunately didn't get to see because as we all know, Hit Entertainment never focused on any of their new characters or any of you or any character that was not a Steam Team member. And I would also give Molly and Billy a dynamic, and I would have Molly act like a kind but stern and I would have Molly act like sort of act like an older sister to Billy. And that's how I would rewrite Billy's episode Don't Be Silly Billy. And I would also have and in my rewritten version of Don't Be Silly Billy, I would also have Billy learn his lesson at the end of the episode, and Billy would become a more humble engine, and I would give him more time in the spotlight as well. For an episode idea for Billy, I would rewrite Thomas in the Runaway Car and replace Thomas with Billy, mainly to give Billy another episode and flesh his character out more, as well as have Billy interact with Gordon. And for when Charlie is introduced in the season 13 episode Playtime, I would rewrite this episode by replacing Thomas with Billy, mainly so that we get to see both Manning Wardle twin tank engines interacting with each other, and mainly so that Thomas isn't out of character in this episode. And I would give Billy a few more starring role episodes, such as I would bring back Stephanie and CGI later down the line. I would bring back Stephanie and CGI and make an episode about Stephanie and Billy, and I would also make an episode about Stephanie and Fergus too, to give Billy some more character development. And that's what I would end that. And so yeah, this is the end of this character analysis video. I'm really hoping that Billy will come back in the 2026 series, and I'm really hoping that the writers will finally bring back the underused and forgotten characters of the classic and the hit eras, and finally utilize them to their full potential. Anyways, that's the end of the video. Bye.